Spain just won the World Cup. Attention immediately shifted to a completely different prize, the Ballon d'Or. The Ballon d'Or is football's oldest individual award, chosen not by fans, but by a global panel of journalists. One football journalist from every country ranked among FIFA's top 100 nations gets an official vote. Each of those journalists ranks their personal top 10 players from a short list of 30 official nominees. A first-place vote is worth 15 points, with smaller point values assigned all the way down to 10th. Whoever collects the most total points across every single ballot wins the trophy on the ceremony stage. This year's ceremony is scheduled for October 26th in London, almost exactly 3 months after the World Cup final. Voting criteria officially include individual performance, team achievement, and a standard of sporting fair play across the season. Crucially, the season being judged runs from last August through this July, not just the 6-week tournament. That means a player's entire club campaign counts just as much as anything that happened at the World Cup itself. Still, with Spain freshly crowned champion, the obvious assumption was simple: Spain's best player would now be the favorite. Betting markets and prediction platforms moved fast once the final whistle blew in New Jersey. What those markets actually settled on, though, did not match that simple assumption at all. Player named the tournament's single best performer is not currently the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or. To understand why, the story has to start with the man officially ranked above him, out on the pitch. Harry Kane currently sits at the top of the Ballon d'Or betting boards, the outright favorite by most measures. Kane's own England team never even reached the World Cup final, eliminated by Argentina in the semi-final. Kane still scored 6 goals across the tournament and helped push England all the way to that semi-final stage. His real case rests almost entirely on what he did before the World Cup even started, back at his club. Across the 2025-2026 club season, Kane scored more goals than anyone else in the world. That tally helped his club win both the domestic league title and the domestic cup in the same season. Under the Ballon d'Or's own criteria, a season like that carries enormous weight, independent of any single tournament result. Second in the current betting order sits Lamine Yamal, still only 19 years old, wearing Spain's championship medal. Yamal contributed 1 goal and 1 assist across the World Cup itself, including a key pass in the final. Its club season reads far heavier than that single tournament line, with dozens of goals and assists combined. His club also won back-to-back domestic league titles during that same stretch, with Yamal a central attacking figure. Between Kane's goal total and Yamal's double trophy club season, both men built a case mostly away from the World Cup. Third on most boards sits a name that barely resembles a typical Ballon d'Or contender at all. That player did not score a single goal across Spain's entire 7-match run through the tournament. What he did instead was control the tempo of almost every match his team played, match after match. His team's defense, built around his positioning, allowed exactly 1 goal across all 7 matches on the way to the trophy. For that body of work, the tournament's own technical panel named him the single best player of the whole event. That specific individual award is not just a nice trophy, it has historically lined up with real Ballon d'Or success before. One past winner claimed both awards in the very same year, after his own country's own World Cup run. Even with that precedent sitting on record, this year's version of that player carries noticeably different current odds. Rodri of Spain currently sits tied for 3rd favorite on most boards, several spots below both Kane and Yamal above him. He shares that exact tied position with a completely different kind of World Cup story: Lionel Messi of Argentina. Messi's odds tell one of the sharpest swings of the entire tournament in either direction of any single player. Before the World Cup even kicked off, most sportsbooks listed his Ballon d'Or odds far down near the very bottom. By the time the final whistle blew, those same odds had risen sharply all the way up near the very top. He finished the tournament with 8 goals and 4 assists across 8 total matches for his country. He also provided the pass that set up his team's late semi-final winner in the final minutes of that match. His team still lost the final itself in extra time, denying him a 2nd straight tournament title. That loss did not erase his individual output. It simply meant his case now rests on performance rather than a trophy. He and the tournament's best player now sit at the exact same odds level, despite 2 completely opposite campaigns. One built his case on a stat sheet full of goals and assists. The other built his on 0 goals at all. Slightly ahead of both of them sits Kylian Mbappe, the tournament's outright leading scorer with 10 goals. Those 10 goals pushed his career World Cup goal tally to 22 across 3 separate tournaments. He won the top scorer award outright, a purely statistical, goal-counting recognition separate from the best player award. His club season, though, ended without a single major trophy to place alongside that individual goal total. On the Ballon d'Or's own criteria, that gap between dazzling individual stats and empty team trophies quietly works against him. Further down the current list sits a name many assumed would be an automatic frontrunner this year. That player is the reigning Ballon d'Or holder, having won the award for the previous season just 1 year earlier. His club season included both a domestic league title and a continental club championship trophy in the same year. At the World Cup itself, he scored 6 goals for his country, a genuinely solid tournament by most normal standards. Even carrying a full trophy case into voting season, his current odds sit far back on the leaderboard. Part of that gap comes down to simple recency. Voters tend to weigh the World Cup heavily, being freshest in memory. Part of it comes down to comparison. 6 goals looks modest sitting next to totals of 10 or 8 elsewhere.
None of these gaps are officially explained anywhere. Betting markets simply reflect thousands of individual guesses about voter behavior.
What those combined guesses reveal, though, is a fairly consistent historical pattern about who tends to actually win. Across recent decades, the large majority of winners have been attacking players who score or directly create goals. Players who control matches without ever appearing on a score sheet have won the award far less often across that same span. Rodri himself already knows that pattern personally, having won this very same award once before, back in 2024. That earlier win makes his current underdog position even stranger, a past champion still trailing 2 flashier stat lines. Zooming out, the current board includes several more contenders sitting further back, each carrying their own partial case. Jude Bellingham scored 7 goals for England, including a late winner in the third-place playoff match itself. His own club season, though, was interrupted repeatedly by injuries, leaving it without a major trophy of its own. Michael Olise led the entire tournament in assists with 7, while also topping global charts in assists for his club. He helped his club complete a domestic double, the very same double that lifted his own teammate to the very top. A different midfielder became the only player anywhere to win both a continental club title and the World Cup in one season. He did that first with his club, then again weeks later with his country, an unusually rare double achievement. Erling Haaland scored 7 goals, helping a team many expected to miss the tournament entirely reach the quarterfinal instead. His club season delivered a very high goal total across all competitions, yet no major trophy came with it. Every single one of these cases gets weighed against every other one, all inside the same 30-name shortlist. None of the underlying numbers involved are disputed. What differs entirely is how heavily each voter weighs each individual number. A journalist who values team trophies above all else votes very differently than one who values raw individual output. A journalist who saw the World Cup as decisive votes differently than one weighing an entire 12-month season equally.
With 100 separate journalists, each applying their own personal formula, the final result stays genuinely difficult to predict.
Betting markets try to average out exactly that uncertainty, constantly updating as new information about form and opinion arrives. Kane's current lead reflects where those markets sit today, in early August, less than a month after the final whistle. Nothing about that lead is locked in. Domestic league form between now and October can still move these numbers considerably. A poor opening month for any single contenders club could shift momentum straight back toward one of the others quickly. A strong opening month for any single contender could just as easily widen their current lead even further instead. The only date that matters for a final answer is the ceremony itself, still more than 2 months away. Set all the odds and markets aside for one moment, and one plain fact about this tournament still stands untouched. Rodri organized the run of the actual World Cup champion without ever scoring a single goal along the way. The tournament's own technical panel, watching every match closely, still ranked him the single best player of the entire event.
That official ranking from the people closest to the games themselves currently means comparatively little to the betting markets.
Kane's club goal total and Yamal's double league title currently outweigh that same golden ball in the public odds. Messi's 8 goals and 1 legendary assist currently sit at that exact same odds level as that golden ball too. None of that is a flaw anywhere in the voting system. It is simply what the system has always actually rewarded. Team success wins tournaments. Individual output spread across an entire season has usually been what wins the Ballon d'Or itself. Rodri's own quiet, goal-free brilliance built his team's championship from underneath, largely away from the highlight reel entirely. Whether that kind of brilliance can still outweigh months of goals and assists gets answered on October 26th. Until then, football's newest World Cup champion sits in an unusual, familiar position, a winner still chasing one more vote. Spain already has the trophy that matters most on the field. October will decide who gets the other one.